Today we're going to make this Outfeed table for my table saw, so stick around, check out how we make it and how we attach it to my table saw. I have the plans printed for my Outfeed table right here, and you can see as I start making this cut that this is about as far as I can cut, about the longest piece I can cut with my new table saw setup. I also have a little list here of the pieces I'll need. I'll show images of that later on the screen. You can also check the website article to find more details about these plans. So first we're cutting this piece to 16 inches wide, which is the final width, and then we'll go to the miter saw and cut it to the final dimensions of 40 inches. Now we can set this piece to the side and go ahead and cut all of the rails. My plans call for 3/4 inch plywood. Well, since I'm using material I have in my shop, I want to use a scrap piece of MDF from one of the sides. It'll be the side that goes away from the front of the saw, so that it will have extra support to hold it in around the legs. You'll see exactly what I mean in just a minute when we start assembly. And these are all 14.5 inches. So I've made some scratch notes here, and it just says where I want my T-track to be at, or my miter gauge track to be at. And it says it wants to 14.5 is the start point and 15.5 is the end point, which is a little wider than my actual track on my table saw. But for me and my personal, what I want, that will be okay. I don't have to have it the exact same width as this. So I've got my dimensions made. What I've done on my stock is I've made, and I think you can see that, there's a little X here on each of these, and I've got lines where it needs to cut it out. I'm gonna cut 5/16 inch deep. What I'm gonna do is make a pass on each side of this on all 4 of these. That first cut is right on the money. Now for the second cut, I'm gonna have to go 15.5, and then I'm gonna have to adjust it back because my fence references off this side of the blade, and I'm gonna be referencing off this side of the blade. Perfect, so far so good. My next cut is gonna be at 25 and 5/8. Now 26 and 5/8, and remember we're going to take 1/8 of an inch off for the blade width. The first thing I did is I went ahead, after I got this cut up and sanded, is I laid out all my screw holes. On the sides, I did 3, 6, 10, and 13. On the ends here, I did 2, 8, 16, 24, 32, and 38. Now I'm going to go back and drill my holes in Countersink. This is a project you could definitely use pocket holes for. If you're not comfortable, if you don't have a pocket hole jig, then the other option would be to just glue it or to screw it from the top like I'm doing. I find with gluing MDF, if you let that soak in just a little bit and then come back and add just a small line right in the center, I get the best gluing with MDF. I got my 2x4 for the legs. They're going to be 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. I've got this already cut to the final length, which is 36 inches. My table saw top is 37. We're going to count 3/4 inches for the top, and then we're going to put some leg levelers on the bottom to make sure that we keep it level on the front of that. So that'll take up the other 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do now is make a couple passes to square up my 2x4, and then I'll cut them to the final width, which is going to be the 1.5 inches wide. So here you're looking at the corner where the leg is going to go. And my idea behind this leg is going to be that we have a brace here that's glued and screwed. Glued and nailed to the side. And this leg will just slide right in here just like this. And depending on how sturdy that is, I may come back and put a bolt that I can put like a wing nut on. But otherwise you'll just be able to pull it out and it'll stay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and glue this side piece here, which is the one that's 1.5 inches long, and put it there just like this. And then we'll come back and add this other one. There is probably what looks like about a 30-second, this is about a 30-second overhang. That's okay, because I want there to be just a little bit of play in this so that it'll slide all the way down in there. One thing I didn't do as well is I didn't glue this to the bottom. So to keep from having issues later, what I've done is I've got some blocks here that are cut at a 45-degree angle. I'm just going to glue these in place. This next part is not in the plans, and that's because you're going to need to do this for your own individual table saws to what works best for your setup. If you got the same setup as mine, I'll kind of go over what I did, but you need to go ahead and go out there and take good measurements and set it up. You'll need to set it up more yourself. What I did for mine is this is 40 inches long, same as the actual Outfeed table. I've made 5 marks and I've already found the center with my center punch. And now I'm going to go back and drill a 3/8 inch bit all the way through these. My bolts are 5/16, so this will be slightly oversized, but I think it'll be okay for my application. So you pop these end caps off that go on the end here, and you slide the bolts in this T-track, or whatever this is, track, down through here. Now on my saw there's a brace here in the middle where these 2 pieces join together, so this middle hole I'm not going to be able to use. And then you do it on the same on the other end and you slide them down. I got them lined up already. I got them put in there, got them lined up. So now you're just going to go ahead and put them through just like this. Okay, and now I'm going to put a washer and a nut on this. I'm going to put a washer and a nut on this for now. That will allow me to level the legs once I get it set up over here to make sure it's flat across there. Now I'm going to drill a hole part of the way through this. And now that I'm into the leg, I'm going to switch to a smaller bit. And the reason why is that's going to eliminate any of the play that was happening in this leg here. What I've already done here on this top part, and you can see that I got 2 marks and a line. So I'm going to drill 2 holes here and I'll connect them. This is very difficult to show, so I'm taking you off tripod to show you this. I got 2 clamps to hold this in place where it needs to be at. Now I'm going to go back and it looks like I'm barely going to miss my bolt hanging down for that one. The one in the middle looks good, and then the one down here looks like we're barely going to miss it again. So I got it clamped. I can't really do any of this on camera because there's not a good angle. What I'm going to do now is mark the center of those holes, and we're going to try to get it right in the center so that we can have it play up and down if we need it. So I'm going to mark them and then I'll go back and drill them. I'll take this whole 2x4 off and drill them, and I'll do all that off camera. But I have it set up currently, and I use my level to level it, and I made sure I was lined up with my T-tracks or my miter slots on both sides. And we're getting close to being done, but this part here is just really hard to film. So I got these holes drilled already, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with a little bit bigger bit and drill a hole for the bolt to fit in. Just like that. I'm going to do that on both sides. The reason why I wanted to do that is now the head of the bolt can go all the way down flush, and I could put a bolt, a nut on here to hold it so this will stay tight in there. And what I'll end up doing is switching these out with a carriage bolt so it's flush here, sucked up here, and that way the bolt is always sticking out. You'll see more about what I'm talking about when I go to assemble this for the final assembly. So this is where we're at. I got an X on this side. That means it's going to go against the back, which means I want to insert my carriage bolts in this way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back. Well, let's go ahead and put all these in. And we'll flip it over on my workbench. Let's see if I can add a washer. No, washer won't get in there. Which is fine, not a big deal, but we'll go ahead and put our nuts on there. So what's important is that this is flush or sunk in a little bit, and this one is perfect. It's just below the surface here. So this bolt will stay sticking out once I get it attached over there, and that way it'll be sticking out where I can go in there and slide my Outfeed table onto this bolt, and it'll hold it in place. So I'm back over here at the table saw, and this will slide, these should all slide right in, just like so. There we go. We're going to put a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut on these. Alright, and that's got our bolts sticking out here. So now what we can do is go back and attach this guy. Just like so. Now what I'm doing is I've got nuts, washers, and lock washers on these two outside bolts, and they're tight, hand tight, to where I can adjust this to get it level. This side is level and looks really good, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten this side down. Now we'll go to this other side, and I've already adjusted it as well. And now we'll go ahead and tighten up this middle one. Now that everything's tightened up, I can check my miter slot, and it clears just fine. Same on this side, so we're in good shape here. And now let's try the fence. And we cleared just fine on the fence as well. No issues. Make sure if you're interested in this, go to my website, check out the plans and the article for this project. It's over there on my website. The link is in the description. Or you can find my website in the About section. Also, you'll find my Instagram and Twitter and those handles there, so you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and you can see projects before they come out and fit photos and things like that, and other things I'm working on in the shop that may not get videos made on it. So thanks again for watching, and as always, y'all will see me next time.